What's worthwhile? Considering what we consume, believe, say, and do towards peace of mind, vitality of body, and joy of spirit. I'm Ramsey Zimmerman. Here's some more healthy living, motivation, and discussion.
So we actually look at the brain. We are able to now target treatment, the most effective tailored treatment to the individual.
Looking at my scan, and it turns out I have PTSD. And I was going to school, Amen University, to learn how to care for my husband who was diagnosed with PTSD. So when we're looking at both of my husband's scans and mine, we both have PTSD, but it's showing up different in our scans. So therefore, our treatment is aligned differently because of what the brain shows. In the written test, it did not show up that my husband had ADD. But when they got the results of his brain scan, oh, he definitely has ADD. And at 42, he had the ultimate answer he needed about his brain. Because of a SPECT scan and because we went to Amen clinics, his life was shifted for the better.
Everything that we eat, everything that we take in becomes our hair, our skin, our nails, our blood, helps with organ regeneration. So food is strongly linked to brain health and our mental well-being. Everything we take in, food is either medicine or poison to us. And so, of course, that's a huge part of our brain and mental health.
Hey there, it's Ramsey here. That was Cindy Santa Anna and Yuri Huntington. Cindy is the integrative nutritionist for the Amen Clinics, a collection of 11 brain health clinics across the U.S. She is also a nutritional therapy practitioner, author of the book Unprocessed Living, and a culinary nutrition instructor. Yuri is the faith ambassador for Amen University and is leading the outreach and connection to 77 faith communities, which are piloting the new Amen Whole 4 national program. We had a wide-ranging conversation about founder Dr. Daniel Amen's approach and decades of experience, how Amen's brain scan technology is uniquely effective, and how Amen University educates the family members of patients so that they can better understand and participate in their loved ones' healing journeys. If you are considering any of Amen's offerings, or if you are intrigued about how to keep your brain and mind healthy as you age, this is a great episode for you. Let's dive in. Hello, Cindy and Yuri. How are you both doing today?
Doing great.
Very well, thank you.
Good. Hey, thank you both so much for joining me today. I recently learned about Amen Clinics and Amen University and the pioneering work of Dr. Daniel Amen over the past few decades. So I'm thrilled to have you both here so that you can tell us more about that. Cindy, let's start with you. You are the integrative nutritionist for Amen Clinics. I understand that you provide nutrition coaching for patients across the network of 11 Amen clinics in the U.S., right?
Yeah.
What is the focus of Amen clinics and why is nutrition specifically emphasized for patients?
So the focus of the Amen clinics is to reframe or refocus the way that we address mental health in the United States. The way it is currently being looked at is sort of antiquated. So our new way is by actually looking at the brain. Dr. Amen has put together this revolutionary scan called a brain SPECT scan. So it's SPECT. It stands for single photon emission computed tomography. Big word. Basically, it's a non-invasive brain scan that is very calming and very relaxing. I've had one, so I've had a look inside at my brain, and you just lay there while this machine goes around your head. It's not like MRI or CAT scans where you feel claustrophobic. It's very open. It's a very non-invasive experience. So we actually look at the brain. We are able to now target treatment, the most effective tailored treatment to the individual, rather than when you walk into a doctor's office or psychiatry or psychology and using talk therapy or using medications, we are actually able to target our treatment to the individual. And then you asked about the nutrition part. Why is that important? It's because everything that we eat, everything that we take in becomes our hair, our skin, our nails, our blood, helps with organ regeneration. So food is strongly linked to brain health and our mental well-being. Everything we take in, food is either medicine or poison to us. And so, of course, that's a huge part of our brain and mental health.
And in terms of brain health specifically, why and how is nutrition so important kind of in middle age as the brain, in order to keep the brain healthy as we get, into later age?
Yeah. Prevention is key, right? We really want to, obviously always from childbirth to your teen years to young adulthood, we always want to be taking care of our brain, as far as preventing accidents and falls and being exposed to toxins and alcohol. That's always important. But there was a recent study. They looked at 3,000 participants and they followed them for 38 years. And they analyzed how glucose levels in your midlife, so you're talking 35 to 50 years old, those that had a higher glucose level during that midlife range had a 14.5% higher risk of developing Alzheimer's later in life. So it's really important for us, middle-aged folks, to really care about our blood sugar. So I've made that my own practice specialty, what I deal with our clients at the clinic. I even wear a glucose monitor on my arm to help hone in my own blood sugar, because this is really important to me personally, because it runs in my family. So caring for your blood sugar now is essential for how your body's going to handle foods later in life. Because you think, because we develop insulin resistance and then you become pre-diabetic and then type 2 diabetic. So blood sugar is really important now.
Yeah. And what kinds of, when people come to the Amen clinics specifically, what kinds of things, what reasons, why are they coming? What is it that they're looking to solve specifically?
Well, it could be anything from a traumatic brain injury that someone has had, or maybe a child who's autistic. It could be, head trauma from a car accident, or it could be your 80-year-old grandmother who has cognitive issues. I've had clients as old as 99, and as young as 4, 5, 6, 8. Young children who've been in accidents or have some sort of head trauma or toxins, exposed to mold or Lyme. So it runs the gamut of why they come to us. And unfortunately, a lot of people do come to us sometimes as a last resort, where they've spent thousands of dollars and gone to doctor after doctor after doctor, and they can't seem to find an answer. And then when they finally come to us, we have such holistic care. The mind, the body, we sleep, movement, nutrition, psychiatry, toxins, hormones. Because we look at everything, we're able to find some things that maybe other doctors weren't able to find. So it's really about that holistic care that we provide.
Yeah. So that I understand. So I see. So there's a lot of really kind of acute issues that bring people to the clinics. And I think it's wonderful that in addition to the really acute care, they have you doing the supporting the foundations of health for overall health. And these foundations of health are things that everyone really ought to be doing. And so let's move over to Yuri. Thank you for your patience. What is Amen University and how is it affiliated with the clinics, and how does it bring good health practices to a much wider population, kind of beyond who the clinics serve.
Yeah. So Amen University is a digital platform where anybody and clinicians or family member that want to know more about their brain health, they enroll into Amen University and do classes online. So people, including myself, I started as a student, can log on, find out more about how we can help our own brain health. And also, the thing that got me to be a student is because I was so curious about how the brain looked like for someone who had PTSD. And I wanted to know how to, as my loved one had it, I wanted to know how to better help my loved one and know and understand how to be there for my loved one. So that's what Amen University is for. It's a platform online. Anyone in the world can go and apply and be part of it's not so much an application process. So you go and you enroll and you get on a portal. You have these processes where you get to choose different courses. And the most recent one that just rolled out is our Elite Brain Health Coaching course. And that is unique in that this is the newest one. In 2024, it launched. And people who sign up for these cohorts are signing up to be in a cohort of other clinicians or coaches. So there's 2 tracks. So the clinics are 8 months and the coaches they're 5 months, and it's a graduation. And you have a mentor that walk alongside you through this particular cohort. And then you graduate after the end of 8 months or 5 months. And that's the uniqueness of this most recent course that Dr. Daniel Amen developed. And it is by far one of the best. I have taken several of his certificate courses, and this is by far the most I've learned about Amen University or the brain health. So Amen University is an online platform, and it was founded, obviously it was founded by Dr. Amen, and it started in 2011. So that's many thousands of students have gone through courses. And the purpose is, like I said earlier, just like when we want to know more about our loved ones' needs and how to help them, it's more than just a symptom. So the course helps us as just regular people learn more about how to show up for our loved ones. And the entire Amen Clinics model is working in 4 circles. And these 4 healing domains are what we're taught. And as students, we're taught that it's a biopsychosocial spiritual model. So there's the biology of it. So our brain, it's affected. So how do we help heal it? The psychological part is our mind, how we think. And the social part is our relationships and the people we're around. And then lastly, our spiritual, what's our purpose, our connection to God. And we heal in those 4 elements. So that's what the courses teach us. And they show that we don't focus on what the symptoms are, but we look at the actual organ that needs to be treated. We're not medical professionals. We're learning from Dr. Daniel Amen, a double board certified psychiatrist. We're learning from his experience and over 40 years of knowledge. And we are taking that in and better helping ourselves so that we can help our family.
Here on What's Worthwhile, we've spoken a lot about burnout and why it's important to avoid it. So now let's talk about burnout resilience. Burnout resilience is your capacity to handle stress without losing your clarity, your energy, or your sense of purpose. It is the ability to recover well, stay steady under pressure, and keep moving forward when life gets demanding. And the good news is, it can be built by strengthening the foundations of holistic health. I created the Burnout Resilience Zone Assessment to help you see where you stand and which foundations may need attention. It takes just a few minutes and gives you a personalized breakdown with clear recommendations. Go to burnout.whatsworthwhile.net and learn which zone your burnout resilience is in. When I When I sort of typically think about, you know, mental, emotional challenges and sort of how to deal with those, I feel like it's things either are channeled into psychology or into psychiatry. And I think of psychology as, you know, like the talking cure and working with a therapist. And then I think of psychiatry as going more of a medication and pharmaceutical route. Um, does the Amen approach, you know, fall into one of those buckets, or is it complementary? I guess this is a question for either one of you that would kind of like to take it.
Yeah,
I
go
think
ahead,
it's both.
Cindy.
I
Yeah.
think it's both. It's yes, we have psychiatrists that you can talk through your issues, the trauma, PTSD, as Yuri mentioned. But also there might be a need for medication, or is the patient on the wrong type of medication for their brain? And that's one thing that I really love about what the clinic does is our functional med docs and our psychiatrists usually, not with everybody, but most people who are on medications who need them for specific issues, whether it's bipolar or schizophrenia or severe anxiety, depression, etc. There's a blood test that you can get to look at your DNA and how it reacts to certain medications. I think it's called the Genome. It is amazing because so many patients will come to us and we'll do this test and we'll see that XYZ medicine completely interferes with their framework, their body, their DNA. And so we switch them to a different medication, and all of a sudden the heaviness is lifted, that they start to feel better. Maybe they have fewer side effects. So that's something that every practitioner should be doing with their patients, not just rolling out blanket prescriptions, because it could be the wrong one. So the clinic looks at the brain, then we're able to run the labs, do the work, and not take place of psychiatry, but it's complementary, but we do offer everything from psychiatry to psychological sessions to functional medicine. There's many patients that come to us with cognitive issues, thinking, and I'm talking about people in their 50s and 60s, thinking that this is it, they have Alzheimer's, when really they just have Lyme disease. So we're looking everywhere. The rug is ripped up and we're digging under and we're trying to find the root cause of why somebody's having these symptoms. And that's what I love about the clinic, is this whole approach, this whole body approach, not just, well, let's just slap some medication on you and send you out the door and hope you do better, which most people don't.
Yeah. And I want to add to that. Yes, Cindy, because that's so right. And you brought up something that made me remember my experience, because I'm also a patient. My husband and I went to go get a scan as well over here in Irving and Texas. So in my experience as a patient at Amen Clinics, I went because I was a brain health coach and I wanted to make sure that I was coaching well, and when I refer my clients, I wanted to just also know the experience. So in my mind, I'm going because I just want to know the experience. Well, I show up, I get a brain scan, and I come with my husband, so he gets a brain scan as well. And at the end of that whole thing there, because it's 3 days, I did the resting scan and the active scan, because it shows different activity when we're thinking, we're concentrating, or when we're resting. But before we do the scan, they take us in a room and they do our history. Just like Cindy said, it's this holistic view. It's not just the scan by itself, but it's our history, our experiences. Have we had head trauma? Those kind of questions that they're digging in deep. They're doing a holistic view of all of our biopsychosocial, spiritual. So after our scan, I'm sitting with the psychiatrist, and my husband and we're looking at my scan, and it turns out I have PTSD. And I was going to school, Amen University, to learn how to care for my husband who was diagnosed with PTSD. So when we're looking at both of my husband's scan and and mine, we both have PTSD, but it's showing up different in our scans. So therefore, our treatment is aligned differently because of what the brain shows. Another very unique factor that Dr. Amen provides, the care that he has at Amen Clinics, is that in my husband's case, he's 42. And well, he was 42 when we went. And he got so we did this assessment to find out if we had, ADD and all these things, right? So in the assessment test, in the written test, it did not show up that my husband had ADD. But when they got the results of his brain scan, oh, he definitely has ADD, and it was obvious. And that, as a 42-year-old man living this life, not ever knowing he had ADD, so many answers were given, and he felt so validated because of his experiences and how he didn't really fit in the way of learning and processing with the rest of them. And at 42, he had the ultimate answer he needed about his brain, because then he recognized it wasn't his fault. It wasn't him not trying enough or wasn't good enough to learn or learn like the rest of them. He knew he was different. But had he just gone and the traditional route and did the assessment test, and then the doctors would have told them he doesn't have ADD, he would still be stuck. But because of a SPECT scan and because we went to Amen Clinics, his life was shifted for the better. And that is our story, and part of why I'm so in love with how Amen Clinics does their things.
That's really powerful. Great.
That's wonderful. We're all unique. We all have our own sort of makeup, how we're built, how God created us, and also based on all of the experiences that we've been having, how we live, our lifestyle, the behaviors that we have, and the environment influences our genetics in terms of how our genetics express themselves. And it sounds like a really terrific diagnostic tool.
It is.
And at the same time, I don't know if everybody's going to run out and get their brain scanned. So it seems like there's probably opportunities to reach people in other ways and through other means. Yuri, I understand that Amen University now is piloting an approach to reach and facilitate groups of people through faith communities, and it's called Amen Whole 4. It's in the pilot phase. I was excited to learn about that, and I would love to hear more. Can you tell us about that?
Oh yes, it's my favorite topic. So yes, we have just launched the pilot phase of Amen Whole 4. So if people in your audience have heard of the Daniel Plan, we like to say it's the Daniel Plan 2.0. We are, Dr. Daniel Amen co-created the Daniel Plan. So a lot of the material or understanding of that comes with Amen Whole 4. So Amen Whole 4 is based on the information or the things that our body needs when it comes to, again, those 4 circles. And the pilot program that we're launching right now is there's 77 faith communities throughout the nation, and they were chosen to pilot Amen Whole 4 in their faith communities. And what this program is it's 2 separate programs called the Foundational and the Mastery. The Foundational is 6 sessions, and then the Mastery is 12 sessions. So essentially, the pilot program is doing this 18-session long program with their faith communities. And what we're doing, the purpose of the pilot phase, is that we want to get data. We want to know, as the participants are going through Amen Whole 4, what are they experiencing? How are they feeling? What are the learns, the wins and the learns that they're experiencing through this process? because what's happening here in the pilot phase is Dr. Amen is receiving the data from these participants in the pilot program, and he's collecting the data, and he's going to the White House, and he is showing them, this is the participant that started week 1 and then ended week 18, and look at the difference. And that is what we are doing currently with the pilot program, is receiving data on as when participants start with Amen Whole 4 from session 1 all the way to the end of the mastery session, what are the differences in their body in all those 4 circles. And we assess it by first doing that assessment. It's an assessment that all the participants will take first. Then they go through the foundational sessions, and then they do the post assessment. And so we have data there. And then the same thing before and after the mastery. And that's the data that we're collecting on top of the weekly check-ins that the participant will be doing. And all of this is done currently right now. The pilot program ambassadors are launching it currently. The first one launches February 1st. And we have a window from launching February 1st to March 15th. And in between those months, that's when these pilots are starting to roll out their sessions. And I'm already hearing so much exciting feedback that, I mean, this is something so unique and different that Amen Whole 4, Amen Whole 4 is different, separate from what's going on in Amen University right now. And so with Amen Whole 4, it's specifically for faith communities, and it's intertwining biblical passages and our faith with this. And so it's just such an experience already, and we're not even launched to the participants yet. We've just introduced it to the pilots, and we're already seeing great testimonies about the ambassadors feeling first inadequate because it's a big deal. Like, how can they be an ambassador for something that they fully don't feel equipped for? But once they receive the training and they're like, I can do this. And I mean, the Lord is already working in their heart and mind to feel equipped. So already testimonies like that are happening just by this pilot rollout. And we endeavor to go global, but right now we're doing nation.
Has anything, I mean, is there anything else that is currently in existence, through faith communities that is like this, or is this kind of the first of its kind, do you think?
Yeah, I think the Daniel plan was part of the vision that Dr. Amen had and has for Amen Whole 4. So there has been something like it that had started. This Amen Whole 4 is unique in that it's a program that's coming from Amen University, and within Amen University there is a national faith ambassador, which is me. I'm the faith ambassador for this particular project. And so essentially I'm the one that's helping to nurture the local ambassadors. So it's different in that there is a live person walking alongside the ambassadors who are in their local faith communities, and they're connected to the national faith ambassador. So it's just this another type of like a cohort, a community. And along the process, the ambassadors will continue to get the one-on-one coaching with me as their national faith ambassador. So there's always going to be that person that they're connecting to as they're walking through this local ambassador pilot program.
Look, we all deal with stress. Stress is not the problem. The problem is that our body's innate stress response is built for physical challenges instead of the mostly mental, emotional, and virtual stresses that we face today. In my book, Stress Response, you'll learn to manage your response to stress in order to reduce anxiety, avoid burnout, and find calm and steady focus. The ebook is available on Amazon and only 99 cents for a limited time. After you download, please don't forget to leave an honest review and rating so that others will find it too. And you sort of just threw out there he's going to be bringing it to the White House. Did you mean that literally? Like how are you connected to the White House?
Yes. So currently Dr. Amen has been in the White House in the faith, or what do they call it? The faith cabinet? So I think that's what it's called. But he's been there in the faith community, talking to the White House, partnering with Paula White. She's the head of the faith office there at the White House. And he's been in communication with her. And Dr. Amen has shared this program with different with other people within the White House. And I'm not saying everything in detail because I don't remember off the top of my head, but Dr. Amen has visited the White House. He has presented there at the White House this particular program, and we're getting really good feedback.
Well, that's really exciting. I wonder what kinds of things. I'd love to hear a little bit more detail about the kinds of things that people would be working on during the whole 4. And, Cindy, I wonder too, how much of that is, either very similar or directly connected to the types of things that you advise your patients on a regular basis. Like, can we get into just a few more of the details of what the potential impacts are going to be on those who participate?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So like the first foundational program, there are 6 sessions. The first session is understanding that getting healthy is worship. So it's this mind shift of we're living sacrifices. This is the body it's the temple of the Lord. So it's shifting the mind in giving new language, if they haven't had it already, new language about our own body. Our body, the way we feed it, the way that we allow it to think, those types of things. We're now offering an educational way of understanding what our bodies are. They're getting healthy is worship. And that's the entire first session. And that's what the participants are going to be learning the first session. It's a type of plug and play. So the ambassadors have this kit of Amen Whole 4. They're pressing play on this video that Dr. Amen is delivering the message. And the participants are receiving it. They have their participant guide, and there's a facilitator that's facilitating it, and they have their own guide, and they're all learning together. And session 2 is the topic of, it says here, get your brain and food right, and your mind, relationship, and spirit will follow. So this session is on renewing the mind. And we're incorporating the 4 circles. Every session, the participants are listening in for an hour. Dr. Daniel Amen is teaching this. And they're listening in and they're learning how to renew the mind based on biology, based on psychology, and relationship, and our spirit. So every session breaks it down in those 4 circles, and the participants are receiving that. It's so unique because Dr. Daniel Amen is based a lot of his teachings, especially throughout all the courses at Amen University, unique in that Dr. Amen is the only one in the world with over 300,000 SPECT scans to pull his data from. No one else has that. He's the only one. And so that all that information, all that experience with that SPECT imaging is where the foundation of Amen Whole 4 is, because of the experience and history of all of the data with SPECT scans. And the participants are going to leave these classes with learning more about who they are in these 4 domains. That if their brain is healthy, then their mind will follow. And their relationships are going to deepen in a beautiful way. And their spirit is going to be revived. It's going to feel a lot more refreshed because their purpose is going to be renewed. And it's all through community, coming together, learning with a community of others, and hearing one thing, like the one mind, one accord kind of experience. And everybody in there is learning the same thing together. And so they're accountability partners. They're keeping each other accountable and every week they're meeting back up. And yeah, I'm going to pause there. I kept talking. I don't know if I answered your question.
No, it was wonderful. I think we were all just enjoying the vision of how that's going to work, together. And this
And how many people you're going to reach too. I mean, this is going to just, 77 faith-based communities and thousands of people are going to benefit through this. So that's an amazing data set that we're going to have very soon. And I know we'll have amazing results. So I'm excited to hear what happens in May.
Yay! Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
sure. And just I wanted to, for those who are listening who don't quite have that opportunity yet, it's like, okay. I wonder, Cindy, if you can give some good sort of general advice on, when you start working with a client, when you start helping them to really think about where they're at with their nutrition, what kinds of, first advice do you give them in terms of things that they ought to look at in their life, and maybe some ways that they can start to make some improvements?
Yeah. So the first thing I do when I meet with a client or a patient at the clinic is to take, obviously we have their full history, we have lab work, but I also take like a questionnaire, full account of their daily life. What time do you wake up? Do you drink coffee in the morning? What do you put in it? How many cups of coffee? What are you eating for breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks? Do you, snacking on candy, mints, gum? What's your beverages, treats, alcohol intake? Your exercise, how much movement, how's your sleep? Are you pooping every day? Are you belching, bloating, tooting, gassy, diarrhea? Because digestion is really important. So I ask all these questions, and then I put forth a plan. It's like, okay, here's what's going on. Here's what you're eating. So if somebody's having 2 or 3 cups of coffee in the morning, okay, we gotta dial that back, because caffeine is a vasoconstrictor, which means it constricts those arteries. The blood flow doesn't get to the brain. So I'm okay if you want to have a cup of coffee every day, but let's make it really good, high quality, high polyphenol, low acid, mold-free coffee that doesn't have coffee mate in it, that has maybe real cream or half and half and no sugar. A really good protein, fiber, fat breakfast to start the day. I tell all my clients, if you can look at your plate and change the composition of it to include lean proteins, fiber-rich vegetables, and a small amount of healthy fats. So you have protein, fiber, and fat. PFF, not your BFF. Make your meals PFF. Then we will not have the epidemic of diabetes, as Dr. Amen calls it, because you're not eating bread, cereal, pasta, cookies, crackers, bagels, muffins, croissants, donuts, rice, and pizza all the time, which is what the old food pyramid was at the base, with 6 to 11 servings of bread, cereal, and pasta every day. And I was one of those that was eating that. And yeah, by the time I was 40, I was 50 pounds overweight and on 4 medications, suffering with a lot of health issues. So I got rid of all of that and started eating those protein, fiber, fat meals, moving my body every day, got rid of processed foods, got rid of foods that have high fructose corn syrup. Then my triglycerides went down. So now my lipids normalized. I started eating nutrient-dense, farm fresh foods. So I started sourcing all of my meat and eggs from a local farmer. So everything was grass-fed. I've moved recently, and I've noticed that is a challenge for certain areas in the United States, that not all of us have the ability to live near these amazing farms. So it is a challenge to eat healthy in the U.S. when you're not in areas where you're surrounded by all these great farms. So, so I've made it my goal to search out farmers markets, local farms that are doing it right. Maybe I need to order some things online just to kind of, fill in the gaps, because I want the omega-3 wild caught salmon or halibut, things like that. So I go through everyone's diet, make the swaps. What are you eating for lunch? Are you having salads, or are you eating sandwiches, or are you skipping meals and not getting enough protein or not enough calories? making sure that they're eating antioxidants to quell the inflammation in the body, getting rid of the sugar and the processed foods, alcohol, which is a neurotoxin, and then adding in those good omega-3s, the fiber-rich foods, which build gut health. Fiber from vegetables is what feeds our gut flora. Our gut flora is what makes our serotonin, our dopamine, our GABA, all those neurotransmitters made in the brain they're made in the gut. 80% of them are made in our gut. Those little buggers will eat anything. Those little bacteria will eat ding dongs and Tostitos, but then you get crappy neurotransmitters. So if you can eat fiber-rich vegetables, you're going to build a better gut biome and you're going to make better neurotransmitters. So fiber-rich vegetables is very important, and healthy fats. For a long, long time, we were told that fats were bad and don't eat fats. It was so ingrained in my brain as a young adult that I was afraid to eat an avocado or nuts or seeds because they had too much fat. And I was afraid of a natural whole food that I was missing out on potassium in avocado and great fiber, and vitamin K and magnesium. So healthy fats, nuts, seeds, olives, fatty fish, nut butters, olive oil. If we can start to get those good healthy fats in our diet and get rid of the soybean oil and the vegetable oil and the canola oil and cottonseed oil, you're going to have much better lipid panel. You're going to have less inflammation in the body. Your whole body is going to be much healthier. And the other thing that we all like to do at the clinic, all of our doctors hone on, is something called neuroplasticity, which is the brain learning how to be flexible and adaptable. That neuroplasticity helps those synapses fire. And how do you do that? Is by learning something new, either a new language or an instrument or a new sport. Dr. Amen loves ping pong. I'm trying to learn a new language right now for a trip I'm taking later this year to a foreign country. So always trying to learn a new skill is really important. So that keeps that brain flexible and adaptable.
That was a wonderful list.
Yes. That was good.
Yeah, you know what I love about this whole approach is that it's really just getting back to the foundations and the basics of just good health, eating real food, having sort of productive practices in your life. And it's so simple and so difficult, right?
Yeah, it is because modern life is busy and hectic and chaotic and stressful. And how do you have time to shop for and prep and cook nutrient-dense meals? It's very hard for the modern family who have kids who are going to sports 3 or 4 or 5 nights a week or every day of the week. So yeah, I really think that sometimes we just need to step back. I've had parents before tell me that 7 nights a week they're traveling and taking their kids here and there and there, 7 nights a week. So it's through the drive-through every night, or they're packing sandwiches, or they're getting pizzas at 9 o'clock at night. Like, well, this is not good for everyone's health in the entire family, much less a child athlete who is playing sports. So sometimes it just takes a step back and say, is this really beneficial for my health? Is this going to sustain me in the long run? And the answer is no, it's not. It's one day it's all going to give out. Somebody's going to be sick. You're going to end up with nutritional deficiencies and stress and cortisol way high and blood sugar out of control. So yeah, it takes a lifestyle change for sure.
And there's also there's all of the pressures that you were just describing in order to do all of those things. And there's also peer pressure, and there's pressure between and among individuals, which is also why I really love the approach of reaching through faith communities in order to get people together to focus on and support each other as they learn about and begin to sort of make health changes and health improvements within their lives.
Yeah, I love that. And even if it's not something that's in your community, maybe it's something you start. or you bring
Yeah.
somebody in like me locally to come and speak to your community on things that they can do that can change their habits. And one thing I want to point out that's interesting and challenging with today's nutrition is the conflicting advice. And you read something online, and then you look in a book, and then you hear this expert say this, and you get 20 nutritionists in a room, and they're all saying something different. Sometimes we just have to get back to what you feel is good for your body. And if you're not healthy, if you're not thriving with the way that your current life or lifestyle is going, then obviously something has to change. But it's just an education process, right? But we also have to realize that not everybody knows what's best, and not one diet is going to work for everybody. That's why my approach is very bio-individualized. That's why I'm looking at one individual's labs. I'm looking at what works for their lifestyle. I'm not going to recommend somebody who's working 10, 12 hours a day to go shop and prepare fresh meals for their family every night. It's not sustainable. They're not going to be able to do it. So sometimes we have to kind of hack that and say, okay, well, what about this healthy meal delivery service? Or what about, taking these healthy snacks, taking some grass-fed beef sticks and some sugar snap peas, or some nuts and seeds, and throwing them in your bag, so that when you're running around with your hair on fire and you have a snack, that you get a healthier snack versus a vending machine treat or sugary coffee or something like that.
Yes. There's so many things that we can and could do. And I think we should begin to wrap up here. Thank you both so much. Cindy, how can people find you online and find more information from you and from Amen Clinics?
Well, so obviously I'm the integrative nutritionist for the Amen Clinic. So if somebody wants to reach out and book an appointment with me, they actually don't have to be a patient at the clinic. But if they are, it's either an add-on service, or sometimes they're included with programs. Like the memory program, they actually get 2 meetings with me if somebody's in the memory program. And then I also have my own practice at unlockbetterhealth.com, where I deal mostly with women over 50 with blood sugar issues and hormone imbalance.
Great. And Yuri, how about you? How do they find you? How do they learn more about the Amen Whole 4 and follow the progress as your pilot proceeds?
Mm-hmm. They can go to amenwhole4.com. They can also go to amenuniversity.com. And either of those will get them where they can do a one-on-one call with me if they want more information about doing a Amen Whole 4 program in their local community when we begin to launch it for the public, which is going to be mid-fall, earlier mid-fall this year. So anybody who wants to be an ambassador of Amen Whole 4 in their local community can go to amenuniversity.com and find out more about that, or book a call with me. And it's on the website, and my schedule is there. They just click the little button and they can do a Zoom call with me. They can also reach me at my email if they wanted to, yhuntington@amenuniversity.com.
Fantastic. Well, hey, thank you so much, both of you. It was great having you here and getting some time to spend with you today.
Thanks, Ramsey.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you, guys.
Ready for more? Visit what'sworthwhile.net to listen to podcast episodes, master your response to stress by reading my book, Stress Response, available through Amazon, or to get better before burnout sets in by requesting the free guide. Regardless of where you are in your journey, I'd love to hear from you and talk about how we might move forward together. Please contact me, Ramsey Zimmerman, through the website or on social media like Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, or X. Thanks.